All right. Now that everybody panic sold yesterday, the 50% pumps are back.
Send it.
Did a hurting though on these altcoins, boy. Did a hurting. Got your $5 Chainlink target.
Is it? Yeah. Is that how low we went?
I saw Gal on Bybit today. I saw there's some other coin called Gal, I guess, GAL. And I thought it was Gala for a second, and it was up like 150%. And I was like, damn. But it's something else. But Gal is still pretty good. Crypto fan Chris, how you doing, buddy? Welcome in, everybody. We're going to get started here in like 2 seconds. $5
I love how Sheik always comes in with that. I'm here to cause chaos every time.
Dude, that's a tagline.
Without fail.
Tagline, bro.
Literally.
It's like Magic's only Bitcoin analysis you're ever going to need.
Oh, very, very true, actually. What's yours?
Mine is just, what's up? CBO here.
My name is Jeff. That's what it is. My name is Paul.
Here's 1,000 altcoin charts.
All right. You guys, my OS has more subscribers than him. Oh boy.
Who's that?
What was going on in this chat before the video started?
Well, yeah, Isaac Bonner. What's going on, sir? CVO's cheer. Oh yeah, mine is cheers. Mine's an ending. I don't really open up with it. I used to welcome everybody in with an IPA or a Chardonnay, but that was taken with haste. Paul's goodbye tag, yeah. All right. So,
okay.
Goat Ninja. That's our ninja from Twitter.
Yeah, he's been around for a minute. What's up, Goat? Hopefully you're well. It's been a man. He's been following me for over at least 18 months. Let me get my screen up and we'll knock this little thing out here.
To the nuts.
To the nuts. Yeah. All right, guys. So
happy Fib Day, everybody.
Happy Fib Time Day, guys. Today's the day. So this was your Fib time that was given for the distribution of the last move up a while back. It's all over my Twitter now that we're having it. So I'll actually make a public video today for TikTok and YouTube outside of this live stream as well. But so you guys know what to do. If you're not subscribed to both myself or Paul, find me on the internet. It's pretty hard to miss me. And do that whole bit. Anyway, yeah, so this was a Q4 that we were working off of regression-wise. Basically, you've just been in this channel for quite some time. Okay, so this has been just a really basic tool that we work off of. Custom settings, of course, that give us the levels that we have. Very well respected. I enjoy it. But we've come down into high time frame support, filled this NPOC from a prior range. Very important to have those things, right? And that's just a recap for anyone who didn't watch yesterday's morning or evening live stream, because we did go live twice, didn't we? A bit of a redundancy between them, and a little bit today, because not a lot's changed other than you guys are now getting a pump. This is a nice, move off the lows, the range low specifically. If I could find this thing, I said I would go through and actually get rid of them, but you can see that this is the range low. If you guys were in our another live stream that we did, which I know a lot of you were or were not, I gave you guys two things in that live stream where we were looking at this Gartley, and I had said what we need to see out of this Gartley is the relationship between X to A in relationship to D in the future. So you would use XA to D, and you would get your 1-to-1, and your 1618 has come in at the exact day of the low. What did we also talk about with a pitchfork? You can apply a pitchfork to these types of things on harmonics. I think this was a members-only live stream, so a little gimme for the public crowd. But you can see it did come in and tag the EQ, which is your natural target of this almost exactly. So you have a really nice bounce coming off of that. So there was just a lot here to suggest that this was a bounce. Also, it was the box that was given back in January and December. This was the first box. If this box is lost, where do we go? We fill this one out. Unlike this one, which filled out almost to the dollar, we did come up short by about a little change right here. That's okay though. So this is high time frame support. This is the area that I was looking for, at least in December, to be the low. And I talked about taking these lows, which brings us to our next point of what is the most important area on the chart then, or the most important line, at least. Well, it'd be quite simply the low from last year, which is right here. Okay, so this is your June 22nd low, right? And let's change the color on that so everybody can see it better. We'll go to, there we go. And if you go to the daily, what do we have? We have a really nice swing failure pattern, guys. Back tested, very, very nice. We've come up and tagged this daily, which you can see that we've been trading here. We had a potential setup for a nice Dalton yesterday. The thing is you've already come back into this range right here. So it made no sense to really be looking for that unless support was lost, unless you started putting people underwater, in the words of Max, which I'm sure he'll go over. But this was where you were at. And so you're in the range. You're living above your prior year's low, the June 22nd low from 2021 from that old consolidation. And you'd be targeting the POC, which should come in at familiar areas anyway, because now when we go to, I believe I tossed it in here, we have a nice daily level. There that is. We'll go ahead and get rid of this guy then. I did stick that in a folder. How about that? And then you could just really start marking off, things that are important, like the weekly, for instance, right? Obviously very important. Okay, and that's going to be above us. Well, maybe it is. Where did I do with the weekly? I got to figure out where I put all these levels. My charts are a mess right now. There we go. So this would be your most important area on the chart, probably right here. It stands to make sense. This has been where distribution has been taking place prior. This is where people were selling, kind of a zone. So you do need to flip this region of the chart for this bounce to have any more legs than it already did. But outside of that, even if you were just looking from the NPOC around 26.6 down to the value area low, you take the trade. It's a 22% bounce to the highs, guys. You didn't even have to have the levels marked. Max went over it yesterday in the order flow. The imbalances that came in, the buyers that were present, to let you know that this was going to be a legitimate move to at least some targets where you could have taken profit here, could have taken profit again here at the daily, and now you're getting a really nice short opportunity. For me, this is the top of a pitchfork. I do pitchforks differently than other people, and mine are designed to catch the highs of moves pretty nicely, and this is pretty good. So just doing what it's supposed to. The rest of the market should be going with it. We talked about a $5 chain link potentially if $9.30 was lost. We said we could see $5. We did get $5. If this doesn't get going and regain that $9.30 level, which you can see comes up here, you're still in this range. You can see, one thing I would like to point out on this one is let me get rid of the fib time on this, which fib time for this specific asset, just so you guys know. First fib time was here. Second one was your all-time high, local low, local low. Chainlink is operating off the 29th of May, being a pretty important day. So keep that in mind. May 29th for Chainlink, if you're into that coin anyway. Important day. That said, we need to look at this from a perspective of all volume. And you can see right here on Chainlink specifically, now that we've covered Bitcoin, we have not come back into this value area here and tagged the POC, which I would imagine we're going to get to, but you can just see this is where the support really is. So altcoins, I'm wondering if they will give us some form of a indication on what's going on with the rest of the market. Again, you did not fill the entire gap. These gaps don't have to fill all the way. We've talked about that, right? Ethereum. I'm going to go through some of my alt charts quickly because this is kind of the end of the week recap for us. I posted this on my Twitter. Man, I gave you guys these levels. So if you're not following myself or Paul on Twitter, you guys should be. I don't post as many charts as I used to because I've given you guys like this chart right here that I'm showing you guys where I said that, that was the boxes. I gave these to you back in this area. We hadn't even dumped yet. you had all these levels in advance, right? All those levels were given. So when people say TA doesn't work, or you can't TA this market like this fool right here, I'm just going to say it. Like, you should just unfollow those people. They're not traders. Just to be blunt. Ethereum right here, March 20th, you guys have the levels. You have the lows right here. There's only two levels down here, 1800 and 1730. Okay. So when you're given these levels, there's the level. Okay. To the dollar. So none of these levels are random. These are all worked up by me. They take time, and they work. So TA is definitely doing what it's supposed to. And this would have been the target anyway, as it is the point of control on a very high time frame. Like, some of this is merged range data that, you have to pull yourself. Some of it's just, something that you can standardize more. QNT is a big one everybody's after. QNT dumped through the support, which there was a guy on Twitter. I told him, I was like, it's getting rejected right here. I'd be very careful. You're looking for $40. So again, another case of looking for a little bit lower. You haven't gotten it yet. You might not get it if this is a local low, and that's assuming it's a low that doesn't get taken eventually. It could get taken. That can definitely happen. We could come back to these lows, take them out, go lower. So keep that in mind. But if you were looking at QNT, for instance, this is one that I've been actively covering and trading. There was never a sign of strength or anything. Once you gave up the monthly here, you're coming down to this box. You got a pretty nice bounce between the $69 mark and the $82 mark. That's a hell of a trade if you take it. You just got to get in and out. Now, this came down to $48.81. The target here is $40.40. One has to ask themselves, if they're a DCA person or looking to buy the dip, so to speak, and you've marked this level out and it's dumping, are you buying between 50 down to 40, or are you only trying to buy just $40, and get left out potentially? So that it's one of those things where make sure that you guys are not front running like a ton, but at least putting in some effort to make sure that you're taking advantage of the dip if you are buying, that is. This is CRO. This was the box I gave on CRO back here. Back here when we were looking at this from the perspective that it might be a shark, which it was. B-leg, resistance, support, down you go, right? And so we've now filled out all those targets. Part of me thinks CRO will continue to go lower, though. I'm not buying this, even though this was my target. I'm not doing anything with CRO, just charting it. So CRO can still go lower, in my opinion, but you are at pretty macro support. Algorand, I am buying Algorand. I had this box on my chart for Algo over here. This was the accumulation range for Algorand, and what I wanted to see. And you can see we almost wicked perfectly to the levels I wanted. So this is a big area. This has been where the reason I like this chart is the amount of time we spent actually accumulating here. You can see this is very constructive price action. This is something you like to see, right? This is beautiful. When you get back into a region like this, it's not I wouldn't call it an automatic buy, but I'm willing to start building a position here, looking for entries, looking to buy, and DCA into a really nice long-term hold, thinking that this will likely be a bottom for this asset. And then, when it ran all the way to like $3, you got to think the retrace on that alone, even if you just retraced from, let's say you got an average of 50 cents and it goes to 88 cents, that's 60, 70%. And that's assuming it stops there. It's a great place, kind of like Link, good place to build a position on an asset that's got an actual future. Gala is one that I've been covering. I'm just going to run through these as fast as possible. You only had a few levels on the chart to be aware of. If I can find them. I may have, there we go. Right there. And there was one more, I believe, here. These were the levels that were given. Lose this level, you're going to at least 9 cents. Lose 9 cents, all you really need to do is mark out your local low here, which you have now swung fail. Okay. And that needs to hold. You lose this local low, and this thing's going straight to hell in a handbasket, for lack of a better term. I think it's on Crypto Weatherman's short to zero project list. So, for whatever that's worth, you know, I haven't looked at it too much, but I did see it was on there. So I only trade these things. I'm not trading Gala at all. I just covered it because it was a request from someone on Twitter. So this would have been your trade. Get back above and confirm this as support. You could go down to like a local time frame, right? And you can see that it is as simple as you got above the level and then you got a perfect back test, right? So there you go. You'll love to see it. And just to buy that back test, and even just 9 cents, right? 9 cents. You know, it's 32%. It's not a bad trade, you know, and it's not including what the high got up to, which I don't know that it got to. Yeah, it didn't even get to. Did it get to our S1 that we were on about right here? No, it didn't get up there at 12.5. But still, nonetheless, that's how you would want to trade something like this. And, you know, it's if you have the chart ready, the levels are ready to go, they're still good. You just move on from there. I don't know that I ever looked at Phil again. This was one that gets requested all the time because, you know, people are really into it. But this was the must-hold area for the chart. And it did front run this area a little bit too. So altcoins front running a lot of the bottom targets tells me that maybe we do come back down and sweep the lows at some point. It could happen. But again, it's not guaranteed. So do what you're going to do. I don't know that I have much else, guys. It's a pretty quick update. I'm just kind of rifling through things to do so. Was there anything you guys wanted me to cover that I didn't cover or you're hoping I would touch on?
You might as well do XRP.
Oh, yeah. The ultimate.
the 30 cent XRP.
Who could have told you guys this? Fun. Like back in July of 2021, it's going to be a fun video. All the comments on that video are going to really be my favorite thing of all time. Who could have told you that XRP was going to dump out of this range? And it's not to be condescending at all. It's just one of those things where the market structure on this, someone asked if patterns are valid in my group. And I said, the reason patterns are valid is when you look at them from an order flow and a market maker standpoint. And so what I mean by that is this is a descending triangle. And I bring that up because I actually watched a TikTok video with a guy who's got 30,000 subscribers that took the long right here and was like, we're longing XRP because this is a triple bottom. No, this is a giant descending triangle with bearish market structure. So the reason that triangle works is because you have to understand that this is all one giant range, right? So we are in a fairly large range here. We could just call this a range. Okay. And you are seeing that you no longer have enough buyers to push to the top of the range, right? You see how that works? You now have lower highs. There are no buyers present to make the appreciation rotate the range again, where eventually the area of most traded volume or the area where the most participants have deemed it's the fairest value becomes resistance because there's no one there to auction the price higher anymore. Okay. So you get pushed down back to support where demand has been coming in, but demand can only come in for so long. These positions can only be defended for so long before breaking. And then once it does, you have exhaustion, buyers and sellers can take over and move the price down. That is why patterns do work, but that's also why a lot of patterns don't work is because people like symmetrical triangles and shit like that, you know, those are going to be patterns that aren't really that great. But when you see something like a descending triangle that looks like this, like it's very clean. Does it have to break to the downside? No, you're going to want to use context still. But at the same time, like this isn't the picture of health and fitness. You know, a lot of people were calling this cup and handle. Could that happen? Yeah, I mean, if you cleared 88 cents and then $1.09, absolutely, you've got the chance of running this back. And, you know, this is a giant accumulation. But what we talked about back in July of 2021, when we ran up to here, I made the video that this was a top. I think I made a secondary set of videos right here. I said it would go to $1.35 and then all the way back down to about 29 cents. We're at 33 cents on Bitstamp. So my target technically did not get hit, but close enough, you know, closer than any of these other Yahoos yelling for 10K XRP. So if someone was looking to accumulate a position on this, you could very easily do so now. You could very easily do something like this. This is something that I've been doing for a long time, but there's a guy in our group that does it as well. And he likes to mark it off like so. and do something like this. I call it the OB. And you can now go back to like a weekly, and you can see your .25 is getting hit. And anything below this level is where you want to be looking for the idea that it's just an idea that you want to be looking in this area for longs, right? And you can see why. Okay, so that's it. That's XRP. You're coming into support. You're getting a nice bounce. When would the bounce become real? I would love to see if you were to actually regain about 50 cents and hold that as support, 51 cents, I guess, in this case. So, I mean, like getting up here and not giving it back up on a closing basis, like a weekly time frame. Close this weekly here, open the next weekly, move on up and back into the range above 60 cents. You've got, well, I guess 62 cents is technically what it is, 62.154 cents, I think, was the level. You get back into that, and I mean, this just looks like a giant wick, and now this becomes, more of a channel, and you're just trading for the top of it at that point, right? So that would be how you'd want to look at it, something like this, and you're looking back for the top of the channel, which would come in somewhere probably near your yearly open, if I had to guess. I don't know that I have the yearly open on this chart, to be honest with you, but we could find it really quickly. Be fairly simple. All the way back here. And you know what? I have a tool for this. We do have a tool for this. There you go. There's your yearly open. So you would just be looking for the yearly open right here around like 83 cents in the top of the channel. If this were to regain this level, that's probably where you're going. So that's all I got for XRP. Otherwise, if these bounces get faded, then you're just looking for the low of this range, and the low of the range comes in between, I would say, 29 cents, then 19 cents, 17 cents, so forth. Simple. You've got MPOCs down here as targets. You can see that those are valid. So I would be looking at that as a likely area to be really building and accumulating a position. And this is where I accumulated my last position before this run up, and again before this run up, which again called in advance. Targets were legit. XRP trades like anything else. It's not being manipulated by the SEC or anything like that. It's not a thing, guys. Just trade the buyers and sellers, trade the chart. You don't need to worry about the rest of that stuff. It's completely inconsequential. And nobody wants to hear that, but whatever. We can see who's more right over time. It's Friday, guys. Let's wrap this up, I guess, in decent time for everyone. So, Paul or Max?
Yeah, we can move over to Max real quick, do some order flow, and I'll finish the guys you told you not to worry about.
Hello, everyone. So I'm just going to talk about, some possible trades you could have taken today and what we're expecting for, in the immediate for Bitcoin. So obviously we've already had a stream this morning where we went over the levels, the daily level above and below. Now, though we didn't quite touch it, we could consider that, a short from there. It was probably the best trade of the day so far that one could have taken. How could you have got into that trade? Well, let's go have a look at it in the order flow. So it's been strong coming up into this level. If we go to a lower time frame, it'll be easier. So it's here. So you're coming up to it very strong. You've got increasing open interest, a lot of data, a lot of trades taking place. Exactly what you'd want to see to reach a level and break it. Unfortunately, you didn't. And on the lower term time frames, on the 5 minute, you've then started to change the market structure somewhat. And you've started to, in this candle here, when you've had a huge amount of stacked selling imbalances, you've put a lot of the longs up here underwater, which could signal, if you're watching the order flow, if you know how to read this stuff, okay, maybe I take the trade, maybe I take a short, stop loss just above the high, or maybe just above the daily, and then run it down. Now, you never actually reached the VWAP, which would normally be your take profit. But where did we get to? Because, we definitely hit somewhere on the chart. Well, we actually hit the previous day high, as well as the 310 EMA, which everyone knows that I really love, which is actually, what is it, Magic? The 4 hour 21 EMA. Same thing. But yeah, we came and tapped that. And that's where you could have taken profits. Once you realized, okay, maybe we're not going to hit the VWAP, which was just a tad below the daily. Yeah, so here. So once you see a bounce coming off that, or you see, you know, some consolidation and break up, come back test, and up you go. That's where you could think, okay, maybe I want to take some profits on this trade. You know, I big advocate of taking profits at the first area of resistance, and the previous day high and that EMA, you know, was the first take profit. Now I actually took a long from here, ran it up to here, and then I you know, took profits as soon as it started to come down. When we got that blue PVA candle, took profits, and then that's the only trade that I've actually taken for the day. But other trades that one could have taken, if you come into the footprint chart, I know that Isaac in the group called out this this CVD divergence that we've had here. So it started from this candle here. You can see a lot of liquidity is built up here, and yet when the shorts have tried to bring the price down, they have failed to take this low here. Failed to take the low. So what does that mean? Well, it means that someone is sat here in a limit order absorbing all of the market shorts, okay, or the market sells. And then you've come up again, trapped some of the shorts that have entered, and you know, some of the sell orders that have caused the CVD to go lower. Come back up. You've had another attempt of coming down, and again another drive of the divergence, which, you know, confirms the idea of someone sat here with a big limit order that wants to take us higher. You can also see by the fact we've literally not dropped below this level. You know, there's clearly someone here with a limit order holding us up, a big buy wall. And that was the other, you know, long that you could have taken. Other trades that I want to, you know, go over, what trades that you could take. A claim of this daily would be pretty strong, you know, and I would actually expect that bi-weekly up hit there to get tested. If you break that bi-weekly and, you know, really claim it, then you can start talking about some of the, you know, higher targets, like the, dare I say, the weekly open, or a bit higher. I don't actually have it on my chart, but we have a naked point of control at about, check my other chart, 34,500 is you know, the only naked point of control that we have up here. Now, they're targets to the upside if we can start to claim these levels. Obviously, they have to be claimed. If we reject at the bi-weekly, which at 8 o'clock my time, so that's 4 p.m. UTC, that lines up very nicely with the bi-weekly and the pitchfork that Magic showed us just a second ago. Always like to see it because it, you know, it literally catches the highs and the bottoms pretty much religiously. It's so good. But yeah, if that rejects from there, and, you know, you lose this daily and this daily level here with the now the VWAP, the previous day high, where can we drop to? Well, you've got a pivot down here. We know the pivot hit rate is extremely high. In line with the pivots somewhat, you've got the previous day VWAP close, which is always a good level to watch for a bounce, and the previous day equilibrium. The daily open as well is always a key level. I actually drew, these are some I drew earlier. If you have a look at this. Bing, bang, bong.
Have a browse.
Yeah, I have a browse of what I drew a minute ago. So you've got the gold pocket, which is the standard, you know, you normally expect retracement there. Obviously, this is subject to change. If we break higher, you know, you have to move it with the top of the move. But yeah, down here, you've got just the gold pocket. A bit below that, you've got the 0.702 in line with that naked point of control from yesterday, the previous day point of control. The pivot lines up with the 0.5 for this move. Obviously, the previous day equilibrium is low because we closed the day, well, the previous day high was about here, so it's just a bit below. But yeah, the daily open also lines up with the 0.382, which is, if we bounce from that level, from, you know, today's daily open and the 0.382, normally we can see that as pretty bullish. If you're bouncing from the 0.382, that's normally a very bullish move, which would be great in you know, bringing us some more confidence that we're going to just keep going up. But, you know, if you lose that and a couple of more of these levels, you know, yes, you can get little bounces from them, but if you structure does start to turn down again on the lower term timeframes, because obviously on the higher term timeframes it's already very down. So if you really start to come down again, there's not much in the way of stopping you from taking that low. And like Magic says, a lot of the alts looked like they could. So would that pair with BTC taking the low? I imagine a lot of buys. Let's have a look actually, rather than me just theorize about it. Yeah, so there's been a lot of buys come in since we started to trend upwards again. Let me hide the rect because they're a bit disgusting. So you can see CVD is up, open interest is up. If you start to come down, there's going to be a lot of longs underwater. Where will their stop losses be? Well, some will be here, some will be on this low here. Let me hide the VWAP so you can see what I'm pointing to. Some will be here, some will be here, some will be here. But the majority will be below this low. So if you start to put pressure on these longs that have entered, we don't like to make them sweat if we want to see the upside. Because yesterday, during the drop, every time we had a little rally of longs enter, they were immediately put underwater. It was just a signal that, there's no point rushing this because you're just going to get squeezed out every time until you saw that reaction, this reaction, and you had such a huge rise. Even on the 1 minute chart, you saw like an $800 rise in a minute. Glorious. So then you could really see the buyers coming in with the open interest coming in, and then you change the market structure somewhat. It's what you have to see in order to take a safe trade in this market. But yeah, if you start to come back down and put these early longers underwater, chances are you take the low. But it all depends on what happens at these levels. If we break this daily and go up, break this bi-weekly and go up, chances are you're more safe because you have there's a more support built up. You want to see it'd be a slow grind, lots of ranges, little ranges like this be put in, because then when you come back down, these are support. What if we broke out of this little range that we have here? What one could do is they could draw a fixed range tool from here, and then you've got this point of control of support here. You'll have the VWAP here. The higher you go and the more liquidity that you put into the market here, the more ranges that we build, and the slower the grind up, the safer one could feel in a long. But yeah, you have to claim the levels. If we start to reject, come back below and back test this and go down, that's when people are going to start sweating, panic. It's going to start coming in again. But with it coming into Friday, chances are it's not going to happen. Maybe get a little bit of fun over the weekend with the low liquidity, but normally you'd wait to see what the markets are doing to really make it a solid bet on what Bitcoin's going to do, because they are somewhat correlated. But yeah, that's all for me.
Thank you, sir. Always lovely. Scroll it over here for TikTok. This is on YouTube for anybody that's just joining, by the way. Better quality. You can go and pause it, rewind it. Magic did a pretty nice overview in the beginning, kind of going over all his zones that he's been preparing for like 18 months at this point. Switch over my screen. Boom. I know Magic kind of covered a little bit of ETH earlier too. Just wanted to point out a couple of things on mine as well. Is that so we did come down right to our Q2 range low. This is our macro range low as well that he was pointing out also, or point of control, I believe it was. But either way, right, got that wick bounce off the bottom, support right here at the point of control, and so far we're heading back up. There is a weekly level in here and a 6-month level up here. I just took them off. Right now, you really want to see this weekly up here reclaimed at about 2,200. And then from there, essentially this range low up here. One thing about this area at the moment as well is that if you pulled this entire area as a range, seeing as we've been in this region since basically March of last year, you'll see that I was pulling it in there. I must have hit it off. see that we're coming right into the point of control right now of basically this entire area from March of last year. So this area is pretty important in the short term here, about 2155, right? This is a pretty big target in the short term here to the upside. So a lot of these altcoins and everything, Bitcoin included, are getting a really substantial bounce at the moment. This move was 20% for ETH, same thing for Bitcoin. I just looked at Chainlink, that was about a 50% move off the low. So just kind of be weary of that. Right. Like Max said as well, we are heading into the weekend. People are probably getting really excited and may end up FOMOing in around these highs right here where we could get a pullback. So just be aware of that in the short term. For upside in the moment, once again, correlating. I'm bringing up just ETH right now just because whatever ETH goes through, obviously the rest of the market's going to go through. A lot of the other altcoins obviously double in percentage gains or losses depending. For example, we are up 20% in ETH, but things like Chainlink and others are up 40, 50%. This region right here, though, this point of control pretty much correlates with this weekly level anyways. So if you get above and start holding above that, I would really aim for the weekly, but realistically, this point of control comes in like 2160. So I'd call it 2200, get above 2200 on ETH, hold it, right? From there, you got a little stop loss area idea here. You can even just be paying attention to this for your other alts as well. But if ETH does reclaim this $2,200 area, I'd be looking for the rest of the market to probably continue up with it. Otherwise, we have gassed up quite a bit here on the 4-hour time frame. Still got plenty of room to the upside. Granted, you could get rejected right here in the middle area. Did have that bullish divergence pretty much across the board last night. It's playing out obviously already. So just a pretty, in the short term here, right? This is just an area I'd be looking for. You get above 2,200, and you probably still got some upside here for the alts. One thing we were looking at for Bitcoin is ready to start coming back, dropping out of that range. I won't even get into that. Let's look at it like this. So get above 22. Otherwise, this is a major resistance right now coming in. Dominance, just want to point that out, is running, which is very interesting. I was going to bring up the daily pivot, was what I was going to say for Bitcoin. My iPad's dying on TikTok, so we'll make this quick. And it's interesting to know that even Bitcoin dominance respects these daily pivots, right? So the daily pivot for Bitcoin's back down to 28K. So that's the only reason I bring that up. But you can see how here, even on dominance, comes back, tags the daily pivot, and then continues higher. We have hit the range high here for Bitcoin dominance. So depending on how this does go down, and what I bring this up for is correlating this into the weekend, because if Bitcoin just trends sideways over this weekend, there's a big chance, if this dominance starts pulling back, that the altcoins will have a very, very nice weekend, right? So that's, very possible, especially if Bitcoin doesn't do anything crazy, which generally over the weekends, we don't get too many moves until about that Sunday, right before the CME opens. Obviously, it's a wild card regardless over the weekends, but the altcoins tend to have some nice days, especially after big moves like we just had. So just something to be aware of, right? If we do start getting a decent pullback here on the dominance, because we have now rotated this in full to the range high. So interesting to note there. What are the coins that we have listed? So CRO, you went over. Mana is one that I've just been personally talking about, right? This was the one of the few, one of many, I guess, that we had a pretty big area that we were looking for. And this is a really good example of just how, what Magic was saying earlier is that, goes both ways even. I had this big buy zone if met, right? Obviously not necessarily all in at the top, more so looking for the bottom. And realistically, we had this October NPOC that was a major target. This is where we actually came down to before that final move down on Bitcoin at 25K. But as you can see, you get if you weren't prepared or looking in this region already, right? Even though you might not have gotten this exact low right here, just from that NPOC, you're up 40%. Just from the bottom of the box, you're up 30%. Middle of the box, 18, 20%. And obviously if you would have somehow caught that low, you'd be up 100% now for Mana. And this is more of that, the longer like for me personally, I was picking up some Mana just for the long-term hold. Can we roll over? Sure. But this is just, even if it's a short term at this point, we get back up and out of these regions and pay attention to Bitcoin and see how things unfold. It could be an area where you de-risk a little and, keep some on the side in case we do come back and take the lows again. But this was a really nice area right here. It's a lot easier, obviously, now once we got to a point where we get the bounce coming in where it's like, oh, I wish I would have done that. But, this is very important that during those days, you do have to identify you're coming into, macro lows, and you really want to be able to put on some risk, right? If you can, because this is, the de-risking time is up here, and it's scary, along the way, because you might get a little pump back around here, and then you might think it's going back up and whatever. Obviously over time, even just like this, you pump down, you come back up into the range slightly, ended up just really getting rejected. Down we go. Even here, right? If you would have picked up, noting this box the other day, you get this pretty substantial rally right here. 30%, fear of missing out, right? You think you missed your area, whatever. You just really do, have to, it comes down to patience a lot of the times, right? So especially in the positions that we are in now with this market. So granted, whatever, just want to bring that one up. So we are in here, right? Looking to breach out of this box. Essentially, re-entering this range is still the name of the game, because other than that, I do see that this might be an area where we just might range around in, right? Very similar to how we did over here, this accumulation range. There's really nothing, substantial in this region of the chart. So also could just be an area where we pump back up to. So that, not to say that would happen overnight, but just keep that in mind there. Quant, we went through. Solana, take a look. Solana was one we were looking for $40. Also another one. So, we had Quant, we were looking at, 68 and then 40. Obviously, Quant front ran 40 so far. Solana, it was 40 that we were looking for. Went a little deeper. Take it with the 37. Yeah, 37. So this 44, this little area here is what we were looking for out of Solana. Really not much above here either, right? To get really from where we are now, and you really just want to get back up into this range to continue onward. Obviously, the area of interest would be down here. This is now something that is up substantially. Once again, granted, it's down substantially as well, right? So, but this has had a 56% pump over the last few hours. Note again, right? We still got room on the RSI if something that if you're paying attention for that, right, to get into oversold. But note that we are not getting up into that bullish territory quite yet. So with the idea of that pullback, scenario, it's possible that we start seeing a lot of these get a little pullback, maybe get that higher low, and that'd be something you want to look for, right? So perfect example of this, come up, come back at this, yearly S1 again, about $45. And then you'd want to see that hold and continue on from there. That goes into the idea of, Ethereum, rejecting off that point of control we just went over just a bit ago. And that's, all hinging on, everything kind of working together there. And otherwise, right, we still got some clear skies ahead here for Solana. If you did manage to get some, even if you missed that $37 low, the 45 was really the one at least I was looking for. It's probably another 20%. Granted, this was a wick, pretty much overnight, right, when we dropped down to 25K. But either way. I'll do Crow again. Algo, we went over. It's on the YouTube video as well. And then once again, everything we do is posted on the CVO Crypto YouTube channel. So you can go back. It's live right now still. You can go back there, rewind, or watch it, afterwards in full at a later time if you can't catch the whole thing. This episode's been only about 45 minutes, so it's not too long today. Crow dropped, and this is one of the things, right? These major pumps right here were the main worries, right, when you came down for a lot of these coins, because there's nothing here. So Solana, everything pretty much that had these really big run-ups right here. When we lost this range, it really wasn't even worth putting up anything in between. There's really nothing even in between there anyways. I was looking for this range high. Realistically, this yearly S1 caught a lot of things on this drop. This one specifically was also the point of control of this range. So that was one thing of interest. Thing about Crow, similar to what Magic said, is that, I do maybe anticipate that we're still going to see a little bit lower unless we get out of this range. So this range right here is pretty big. From low to high, it's about 80%. We lost the point of control yesterday. We were coming into it as resistance. Now we're flipping it. For me, this would be a decent area to consider, a stop loss again, if this is something you want to, pay attention for. But you really want to reclaim this 3 month. But at the end of the day, get out of this range back up here about 25 cents. Very possible that we actually run it back to the top. And then depending on if we get another drawdown, then you can get that last leg down, rotate this range in full. So just something to be aware of, that while we re-entered this range, the odds are we're going to rotate it. So unless we get out of it. So you really want to see that 25 cents get out of. The way to protect yourself at these levels would be, if you're entering now, like I said, stop losses below this yearly S1, which is also your point of control. Probably not the smartest leverage trade at the moment, but even just from where you are back up to range high, another 20%, 22%, de-risk a little at that point, see what happens. Otherwise, you'd be really waiting to see, this flip of resistance up here. But that 13-cent mark still, still has some hold until we get out of this range. And that's CRO for anybody asking. I didn't have that pulled up. Cardano. So Cardano hit the weekly level. I already tagged it too. Okay. It's the same thing, right? A lot of these coins now have gotten a really nice, just, oversold bounce, relief rally, however you want to look at it. But you really want to be, 50% once again. So like a lot of these are up hard. So granted, that's nothing in comparison to what it fell. But this is still something that somebody somewhere is now at 50%. They might take profits, right? Start getting that pullback. So really got to pay attention around here. Sorry. Really got to pay attention around here. For me, you're kind of back to where we actually were talking about this just 2 days ago, I think, when we fell out of this 72 cent and we were looking for this region, and you're pretty much in limbo. So if you can handle this dropping back down to this region, that's something you got to really consider right now. Otherwise, the confirmation that I'd be looking for, if you're looking to get some more, I know it sounds foolish, but I would be waiting to see this push up, which is about 30%. So that's why it sounds foolish to most people, right? 20 to 23%. But otherwise, you're at risk of this pulling back, and possibly even dropping it back to this monthly. So that's a 40% gap down. So you really just want to have a decent strategy in place. But I'd be looking for this level to get reclaimed, 72 cents for me, for Cardano. Otherwise, we were looking down here. This was a quick move, so you really would have had to have like a buy order in place almost for this one. And then, of course, we have, we won't even talk about this. Not really relevant at the moment, but you really would not want to lose this monthly level if we come back down to it. Otherwise, reclaim 72. We got our range low right here. I know this looks pretty busy up here, but we got plenty of room to the upside if we reclaim some of these. And like I said, going into the weekend, we might see a pullback, today or whatever. It just really depends on how things really play out for the altcoins, because a lot of them have shot pretty hard. And those, that's where I'd be really looking for, some higher lows across the board for any entries. And then if Bitcoin just kind of holds itself for the weekend as well, it might turn out pretty good. Let's see here. Pretty much all we got. So, Fib day, like I said, like Magic said. So, happy Fib day for everybody. Near, we'll take a look at Near. That's the only other one I wanted to take a look at. Luna apparently is 100% out, right? Getting delisted, pulled off TradingView. So that's a shame for anybody holding that. Near. Near is one it's a fan favorite in the group, right? We got a couple guys that just like the way that Magic only trades Bitcoin. A couple guys in our group literally religiously just trade Near and do really well at this. T-Bone's been posting 90 and 100% moves once again. So it takes a lot of patience and time to work those out and catch some of these. But this is a good sign to see this 3-month level reclaimed. We got a little staircase back up to our range low up here at about 960, get above 960, and I think we'll be back in the upside. One thing to point out as far as like a pattern would go, right? You got a pretty obvious bear flag maybe getting built up right here, or even an ascending channel, however you want to look at this. So technically that would break lower. Once again, I would imagine that that the alts maybe get a small pullback because everything is up about 50%. Pretty quickly, and more than likely a lot of people are going to be FOMOing into these prices. Bitcoin once again has that daily pivot all the way back down at like 28K. Not saying that has to happen, but very, very likely, probable, I guess I'll say. But we'll see how things go. But yeah, everything's kind of running into some resistances, right? So same thing with NEAR, running into a daily level up here. Ethereum's running into that weekly, also that pretty much overall point of control that we were talking about as well, pretty much right up in this region. So yeah. Still not, obviously compared to where we were a week ago, price action is definitely on discount. So for anybody, it depends on if your strategy is a sheer, picking up things for the long haul. Obviously you're talking about a 2K Ethereum once again. It's $100 difference, but yeah, I would imagine that you might still see a little bit of pullback, but otherwise your invalidations of these just start reclaiming some of these levels up here. Get back into this range would even be great for ETH, which in turn would be great for the altcoins as a whole. And I would imagine that Bitcoin would be climbing higher at that point as well, because that is another 10% higher up here. So I'd be putting Bitcoin probably in the range of 33, 34K. All right. I think that's about all we had for everybody today. Hope you all enjoyed this update. If anybody is not in the leading crypto Discord server, Magic Internet Money, Max, myself, we do run that together. Man, I keep doing that, don't I? I got to fix that again now. Bam, bam, bam. So if you're all interested, leading crypto Discord server information's in our informations here on TikTok and YouTube. I have access to all of our altcoin updates, Bitcoin analysis, order flow, open interest, members only market updates, which we do every Wednesday and Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. They are recorded, but they are performed live, so you can ask questions. Very interactive, very beneficial. This is where we, go over all of our, plans of action, where Magic has basically debuted everything that we've come into at this point. 6 months ago, 7 months ago. So definitely aids in your preparation for making your plan and your strategy. And we also have an academy if you're interested in learning how we identify these ranges, point of controls, key levels, use all the tools and resources we use daily. So very, very beneficial. A lot of content in here and a ton of great traders and just really fun community as a whole. So if you're interested, links are in the information pages. Otherwise, we'll catch you back here on Monday. Like I said, on Sundays, we do a exclusive member market only update on Sunday night. So for any members, you will get that on Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. So have a great weekend, everybody. Till next time, CVO signing.